All right, and we are live. So thank you everybody for joining us today for CEA's Big London Blab. We're really excited to talk about our new study abroad opportunities in London starting this upcoming spring of 2017. And so before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start with myself. My name is Alex Anderson. I'm one of the admissions counselors here at CEA. I work in what is known as the Central Region, so you might have worked with me a little bit in the past. And then to my right, I have Sarah Troy, the Director of Program Development, and next to her, I have Brittany Weimer, our Senior Site Specialist who works with our students going to London. Directly below me, I have Leah, who is one of our London alumni, and then down diagonally, we have Danielle, who's an alumni as well. So we're going to be working together to have just a little chat about London, what life is like, what classes are like, and all those different kind of things. Just want to remind everybody as a formality, please be respectful. We are here to talk about study abroad and the benefits of that, specifically London. So please keep questions and conversation on topic so that this can go ahead and be beneficial for everybody. So I guess the first question, and I'll direct it to our alumni ambassadors first. Leah, I guess I'll let you be the first to go here. Why London? What was it that drew you to such a great city?
I think that ever since I was little, I've always wanted to study in London. I always had that goal. I was obsessed with British accents. I was obsessed with the culture, the royals, all of that type of thing. So I think that was my initial thought going into London, and I completely fell in love with the city after I got there. So it was the best choice.
Right, very cool. And Danielle, do you have anything to add?
For me, it was somewhat similar. I went to London the first time when I was 13. I always considered myself kind of like a suburb girl. I always thought I would live in kind of like a small town setting. And I went there with my grandparents and my two eldest siblings. And the second I got to London, I just felt so at home. And it was really the first time in my life that I ever could see myself living in a large metropolitan area. So similar to Leah, it was kind of my goal my entire life to study in London for, if not all 4 years of my undergrad, or at least one semester a year. And then once I realized that studying abroad was such an option at university, I knew that London was really the only choice.
Very cool. And we also looked at that Brittany also studied abroad in London for a little while, so I want to give her fair share as well. Brittany, it sounds like we're kind of hearing a resounding theme here of just kind of having London call to students and really be speaking to them on kind of a higher level. Did you have that same experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I really thought what would be the perfect city to study abroad in, and London just came to mind. I did it more so I can learn the business aspect as well as the financial side, and really got to learn the economy of such a blooming city and how that affected the world, and I love that. It's so diverse.
Very cool. Yeah, no, please go ahead. Cut me off.
I also, another thing is that I knew I wanted to study in Europe, but as hard as I might try, I literally took 4 years of Spanish. I'm really bad at learning a second language, and I knew that the best option would be to go to an English-speaking city that was still really well connected to everywhere else. And London has so many different airports, so it made it really easy to travel to a multitude of other cities and countries throughout Europe.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the big perks of studying abroad as well. We know for almost all of our students that they take the opportunity to travel around and see some other locations. Now, you talked about a language barrier. You didn't see any language barrier, maybe with some heavier accents or anything like that?
I think that there's always going to be some sort of language barrier no matter what country you go to, whether it is the accents or even just the different use of the way they use words differently. So it definitely you do have language barriers, but it's not to the same extent as obviously studying in a city of a different language. With that being said though, a majority of the people living in London don't actually, English is not their native language. They're from all around the world. So it really does give you the opportunity to kind of work on learning another language if that's something that you're interested in.
Very cool. And so I know we've very briefly just been talking about London, but Leah and Danielle, maybe you both can talk about why you chose to go with CEA and some of the benefits of going forward.
I chose CEA because I go to DePaul University in Chicago, and they didn't have any programs in London through DePaul. So that's how I kind of got connected with CEA. One of my advisors here at DePaul connected me with CEA, and that's how I found out about the program. I decided to study with them.
Danielle, were you directed by your school as well, or did you find it on your own?
No, so I chose CEA on my own. I kind of did research to figure out what company would be the best fit for me with what university, and depending on the location of the university. Another huge thing was the timeline and how long I would be staying in London, and CEA kind of offered the program that allowed me to stay in London for the longest amount of time for just a semester. So that was the main reason why. Also, they offered, when I looked and compared the excursions that CEA offers with kind of the tuition that you pay into the CEA program, they offered more than other programs, so I kind of thought that I was getting more for my money's worth, to be put most simply.
Nice, very cool. And we all know that everybody who studies abroad always says that they wish they could stay longer, so it's great to hear that you got to stay for as long a time as you could. Thank you for your insight just kind of in London as a whole, and we'll delve into some more specific things a little bit later. But I wanted to give the ladies to my left a chance to talk a little bit about some of the academics and logistics. So Sarah and Brittany, if you wanted to talk about how our students take classes in London and kind of how logistically that all works out, I think that would be a great way to move forward.
Yeah, so with our new London Study Center, students there are going to be able to take classes that are going to be very London focused, so either London theater, London photography, things that really have to do with London itself. And then they will also take one class at London South Bank University, and our students are going to have access to their entire course listing. So that's going to range from sciences to business to law to marketing, so a real great variety.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so moving in to that, kind of talking a little bit more about the academics. If our alumni ambassadors want to talk about maybe a little bit about what is it like really being an international student in London, aside from maybe walking through Hyde Park and eating fish and chips, what was it actually like to be a student in the city? Oh.
Leah, you can go.
Okay, so being a student, I was surprised at how much people were interested in like my American accent, which is kind of a funny detail. But I remember being in class being like, "I love your accent," and they'd be like, "Oh my god, I love yours." So it was like this weird like I was like, I don't know, it's just not something I'm like, considering because it's not something I learned, but like considering so obsessed with my American accent. I thought that was something very funny. I guess makes sense because I was obsessed with theirs. But that's just like a funny thing. But other than that, I loved being like my classes were in central London, and it was such like my walks to class were such like a pretty walk. Like I would walk literally through Marylebone neighborhood. And it was such. I would stop for coffee. I had like a little coffee shop I stopped at, and I think that was like a highlight of my whole experience, which is like being in central London all the time and being able to walk to class.
Cool.
For me, I would say the best thing, especially studying personally where I studied at Westminster, the classes really do. It has such an international sort of demographic. There are a lot of students that are locals from England, but a lot of students that study abroad go there as well. So you kind of go into it expecting to be in just a classroom with English students, when in reality you're going to have people from all across the EU and potentially all across the world. It very much, for me at least, there was a lot of group work. So when you were put into groups, you were put into groups with people from all over the place. So it really gave you the opportunity, to make friends with people from all around the world, but also kind of see how our work ethic is different from one another, and kind of see what you can work on as a student, and maybe potentially pick up some of their attributes or possibly pass on some to other people. So I think that's what I really took away. Also, kind of echoing on Leah, the walk to class every single day was amazing. I mean, you obviously can take the tube or take a bus, but I remember that every morning my favorite thing was to walk to class, and then when I had a break, my campus was right down the street from Oxford Street, which is like the big shopping the big shopping street in London, so you could just pop in, like casually buy maybe possibly like an outfit or four if you really wanted to. Not saying that you should, but like if you want to treat yourself on your break, no one's gonna stop you.
Kind of going back a little bit, talking about what you were saying about being in class, and a lot of it was group work. Did you find that that was the primary difference between maybe your university here in the U.S. And your experience while you were in London? Did you find that classes were harder, classes were about the same? What was it that you were, what was it that you found really different?
For me, I think the biggest difference is like it's very heavily based on independent study. Like there's group work, but like it's a lot like the professors aren't going to remind you to do your work. You're going to have to like do it on your own. I think that was like the biggest difference from college here in America. And also there was, at least at the university I went to, University of Westminster also, they had like 2 assignments, and that made up the whole of your whole class. So like one assignment is worth 50% of your grade. So that was a huge difference. But other than that, I would say like the hardness level, it was pretty similar. It wasn't like more difficult, I would say.
Maybe just a little bit more pressure to, you really got to nail 1 or 2
like,
assignments as opposed to.
And professors aren't, I noticed they're not very like I can call a professor here in America and they'll like meet with me whenever I need to. Over there, they're not as flexible, I found out. So like they're not going to take an excuse like you were sick, you can't turn this paper in. You gotta do it. They're hard on deadlines, and they're hard on like doing it on your own and not reminding you, like sending emails and things. So that's the one thing I would recommend, is like staying on top of your schoolwork.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that another huge difference is basically the way classes are set up. You have like a lecture and a seminar. The lecture you have more students in, and it's kind of the professor stereotypical kind of talking at you, teaching you everything. And then you break into seminars where you're in smaller groups, where you can really talk to everyone about what's going on. And like, I think the biggest thing is kind of, you do have to really be self-motivated to learn about what's going on and to do the reading, because in the seminars, the professors do expect you to contribute to discussions. And what I found is that you really want to. The courses you're taking while you're abroad, like yes, obviously everyone wants to go abroad to have a good time, but it gives you such an opportunity to learn from one another on such a deeper level, because everyone is really discussing from their own kind of perspective, which allows for such a deeper understanding of topics that you're going into.
Cool, very cool. So it sounds like you really do get that international kind of melting pot in these classes, getting to hear a lot of different perspectives. I mean, I think that might be a little bit more unique to London because the city is such a melting pot. So that's definitely something cool to hear about. Danielle, I'm going to jump off something you said earlier. Again, you were talking about taking the tube or the bus. When I lived in London, I remember I spent my first couple days there studying Citymapper until I had it pretty much memorized. How long did it take you two to know exactly how to get on what lines when and how to get places? How easy was it to get around?
So basically, London public transit is really easy to use. Like everything is very well mapped out. You don't know where you're going. There's literally something on the wall. The people in the tube are really easy to come by. When I studied there personally, I would use Google Maps to kind of sort things out. And then obviously use the maps. I was there this past September until this past March as an on-site ambassador with CEA. And first of all, now they have, for everyone who's planning on studying there, they have an app that is great and literally the easiest thing to use. I'm pretty sure it's called I'll look on my phone in a second and bring it back up after Leah kind of gives you her 2 cents. But while I was there also, I really figured out that asking people how to get around is the best thing to do. Like the people who work for London Transit, because they really do know what's going on. And kind of a simple answer to that, the transit system is changing so quickly and so often, not in a way where it's not easy to know what's going on and like how to get places, but you just will think you know how to get there, and there will be like a way faster way. So I still know now, after living there for, as of now, over a year, for a certain time in my life, I still have so much to learn. So it's really easy to understand it and know where to go, but I just think you can always learn more. So I can't say that I fully know how to use it yet, if that's the right way to say that, I guess.
No, that makes sense. And Leah, before you chime in, it looks like someone in our chat said the name of that app was Citymapper. Does that sound right?
Yes. Thank you.
Citymapper. All right. And TFL, Transport for London, has a good one as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Transport for London has a really good one also that I use. I definitely got lost a few times in the beginning, but I just took it as a venture. I would just like get off the tube and like wander around. But it took me, in terms of like how long it took me to like figure it all out, I would say probably only like a couple of weeks. Honestly, like Danny said, it's a super easy system. There's signs everywhere telling you what direction it's going, when it's coming, all of that. So the buses are also, I would recommend taking buses. They go a lot of places the tube doesn't go. Yeah, it's a really easy system to use once you get the hang of it.
Right. So kind of moving away from logistical stuff, talking about more the fun things you can do in London. You know, it's an amazing city to be in. There's always something to do. I know when I was there, I was really in the theater, and I was usually down by the National and seeing what was going on down there. What did you two do? And Brittany, you can chime in as well if you have something to add. What did you do on your weekends in London? What was your fun thing that you really got into?
One thing I would definitely recommend is going to a soccer game, or a football game as they call it. That was like an incredible experience. Just the atmosphere is insane. Just go to any team, anything you can get your hands on, any tickets. That was just like an incredible. I went to like 3 while I was there. That was one of the highlights. Also, all the museums in London, most of them are free. So you can wander around the National Gallery. There's so many cool things you can see in the museums. So I would definitely recommend that as well. Danny, do you have anything to?
I would also say that the music scene in London is absolutely amazing. So the amount of venues they have kind of blow you away. So you have anything from the O2, which it's massive. It basically has anything you can imagine, to really intimate venues. So, and people are always coming throughout. If you have a favorite artist, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to blow through at some point. So I would say that I spent a ton of time, a ton of money on going to concerts or other sort of venues to kind of, or other places to listen to music. Also, they have a lot of great, if anyone's into jazz, they have a lot of great blues, jazz sort of venues that you can listen to. Another thing is they do have a lot of comedy shows and other performance art, a lot of culture in that sense. Anything, if you're trying to kind of expand your horizons and look into something new, there's always something for that on the weekends, I would say.
I would have to add that, I mean, these are all great inside of London, but you can also take trains like a little bit outside of London. Like when I was there, I took a train down to Brighton Beach, got to wander the city there, got to go to the Brighton Beach Pier. Wasn't that far. It was like a day trip. So there's always these little day trips that you can do, which is great for a city like London.
First interest, and I would totally agree. Go to a football game. Go to an Arsenal game if you can, is what I would say, but I'm a little biased. And definitely check out the music scene, as well as if you're in the theater. That's what I would have to offer. I saw some really great actors, some really great work when I was there, and very, very cool. I'm kind of looking more logistically. I want to talk to Brittany and Sarah a little bit in just a minute. But before I do, I kind of want to ask, your time in London, obviously, it had a profound effect on both of you. How would you say that maybe it's impacted your career goals or even your academic goals while you're still in college? Don't all answer.
Oh, was that me? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't make it.
Danny, you go.
Well, studying in London completely changed everything for me. After I studied my second year at university, so when I came back, my whole goal was reoriented around getting back to London. I was the CEA ambassador at my university at Cal Poly, and then I ended up being the first on-site London ambassador this past fall and spring, or winter, I would say. I just got back this past March. I don't know. I think that for me, studying in London really taught me the importance of kind of being in a place where I felt that, you were exposed to a lot of different cultures and a lot of different ideas, perspectives, personalities. As of now, I'm still international education has always been one of my passions, but I really know that going into something with gender studies is actually my huge thing, and I kind of learned that by my experiences and the people I met while I was abroad and how they're affected by kind of gender relations. So I'm currently waiting to hear back from Goldsmiths University and University College London to go back to grad school this upcoming September and they're both gender studies programs. And I definitely don't think that I would be in this position now if it hadn't been for my initial study abroad experience or becoming the on-site ambassador this past fall. I don't know if that answered your question properly.
You definitely did, and we had some people chat in when we were answering. So, Leah, before you get started, I just want to shout out. We were talking about resources to find things to do in London. Time Out London was recommended. It's a great website. And then the Dojo app was also recommended, and how to find concerts and venues and things like that, as well as other things going around the city. But Leah, I will now give the floor to you to give your answer.
I would say that the networks I've made and connections I made internationally is a huge benefit career-wise for me. I took an event planning class while I was there, and I got to go to a lot of cool events and network with people. And I'm graduating this spring, and I've now been networking with those people because they have a lot of offices here in America. So a lot of the networking, having connections abroad is amazing. You'll be able to having all these different perspectives and learning about everyone else's culture, I think was a huge benefit of studying abroad. If I hadn't have gone to Europe and all these countries, I wouldn't be able to step outside the bubble that is America. And so yeah, I think the culture and being able to make
Sarah, Brittany, do you guys have anything to add as far as London impacting career goals or your future or anything like that?
Sure. So one of the options that students currently have, both through our partnership with the University of Westminster, which is what where both these women studied, as well as at our new study center in London, students have the option to participate in an internship. Westminster has a lot of different internship sites available to students, as well as our study centers. So some of the possible, subject areas or career fields in which you might be able to intern include arts management. Leah mentioned she took an events management class, and so there's internship placements available in travel and tourism. One of them one of the projects could be creating and managing events for tourists coming to London, or assisting with brand delivery for organizations, maybe writing articles, contributing to different types of publications. There's also internships available in business, maybe in PR and marketing or economics, also within government and politics, and media and communication. So there's I think London is there's something for everybody, regardless of what your major is, regardless of what you want to do with your career path, or heck, even if you don't know what you want to do, there's something for you in London. And I think that with just such a wide variety of classes, internship options, and even the ability to get out into the city and to meet people and make connections, chances are, if you don't know what you want to do, this could probably help you define what it is that you do want to do.
Brittany, do you have anything to add, or do you?
I think that internships are just a great opportunity to help your career path. I know I'm going to go back to Leah as well, finding that unexpected event planning that you get involved in. I know one of our actual employees here in our marketing team actually got into a record label and started helping that. She met them at a concert, and it profounded her into marketing in that aspect of social media. So it's a really great opportunity to meet people, connect, and network.
All right. So Brittany, I'll stay with you here. What tips would you have for students who are looking to go abroad and go with us to London? We've talked about all the great things. How would you do it? What would your big tip be?
My first tip would be go and talk to your study abroad office. That they're going to have the best resources for you, as well as talking to you about course transfers and how your credits in London will transfer back to your university, so you can stay on track and still graduate on time. They'll be your best resource for that. Secondly, I would come to CEA, studyabroad.com, and come look at our programs there that are available, and you can actually get our course listings there, and you can start bringing those back to your office, your study abroad office, and talk to them there. And then you would also like to reach out to Alex or one of our admissions counselors, and they can also help you with all of your questions about our programs, about our excursions, about our housing options there. And then if you want to also think about financing, maybe if you are currently getting financial aid with your study abroad, with your university, that could possibly transfer towards CEA and help with the program costs. CEA also has scholarships available too that you can sign up for too and try and be awarded as well.
Cool, fantastic. Danielle, Leah, do you have some tips for students studying in London? Maybe not so much on the logistical, talk to your school side, but maybe more on the fun kind of things to get you ready and make sure that it's what you would have wanted to know before you went.
I think one of the biggest tips I can say is figure out your phone situation before you go over. I know like AT&T and Verizon both differ with like how like their plans work abroad, but being able to have data, like data for using Google Maps is really important. So try to figure that out before you leave, because I know like I had a lot of friends that were trying to figure that out after they got abroad, and like the communication process with like AT&T in America, it was just like a huge hassle. So try to figure that out before, because having data is like a lifesaver. If you get lost in London in the middle of the night and you need to get somewhere, it will save you. That would be one of my biggest
definitely
tips.
Agree. Kind of going back on that, if you don't have AT&T, for most students, you can literally go, just make sure your phone is unlocked. That is the biggest thing ever, is make sure you can get your phone unlocked. If your phone's unlocked, you can get a UK SIM card and just plug it right in, and that it really does make a difference. And it's nice too if you don't have an iPhone. If you have a UK SIM card, you can text anyone. Apps like WhatsApp or Viber are huge. People use Snapchat to communicate nowadays. So just make sure you're kind of up to date on all the different types of app. Instant messaging on Instagram, like there are so many different ways to keep in contact with people. I also think another big thing is kind of really go with an open mind. Obviously, go on BuzzFeed, like go on Secret London, which is another great website for figuring out what's going on in London. Time Out London. Really look at things that are going to be happening when you're there, if there already or other sort of like exhibitions, weird pop-ups. So you kind of go in knowing what you want to do, but don't have expectations for who you want to be, who you want to meet, like everything like that. Really keep it open, because you're not going to be able to plan out your study abroad experience. It's like when you go traveling and you're like, oh, you set up all your travel plans, then you miss the first train. You're like, well, that kind of swings you for a loop. You just really go in with an open mind and an open heart and be willing to be vulnerable and happy and willing to meet anyone and really put yourself out there.
Awesome. And so kind of while we're talking about getting ready and logistics, one of the other big concerns for a lot of students is budgeting. And London is, without sugarcoating it, an expensive city, and budgeting is important to a lot of students. And so do y'all, and anybody can answer this, go ahead and fight to answer first. Do any of you have any sort of like budgeting tips or tips to kind of help out with managing money a little bit once you're there in London? Because I know when I moved there, that was one of the big things, was I wasn't really thinking about how much maybe I was spending. I was going and doing normal things, and then I found out that I spent £20 on a movie ticket, and that was actually $35 in the US, and I freaked out. So what are your budgeting tips for London?
One tip I would say is I don't know the housing accommodation for whoever's going over there, but if you have a kitchen and you can cook, definitely do that. Go grocery shopping. Don't eat out every meal. That's going to add up real quick. I cooked a lot and saved a lot of money by doing that. Just eating like breakfast and lunch out. And then if you want to have dinner out, you can, but cooking breakfast and lunch is just a huge way you're going to save money.
Yeah, to kind of echo on that, there's this funny thing for people who like caffeine. It's called coffee. And I would have to say that when everyone's like, oh, like, gonna get my nice, like, flat white before class, let me tell you, if you want to get a flat white before class every day, you're not budgeting properly, and you will not survive. So, like, drink some of your coffee at home. Another huge thing, when you are a student, you get student discounts, whether you're shopping, whether you're getting food, whether you're trying to go to a venue. Like, so take advantage of the student discount, because I know that some of them, it's like you get 10 to 20% off, which honestly doesn't seem like a huge amount, but every little bit adds up. And then the public transit in London is a little bit pricey. So really, if you are in a situation where you feel like you can walk a lot, then I wouldn't recommend. You can basically do like a weekly or a monthly pass. I wouldn't recommend doing it if you think you're going to be walking a lot, because like you won't need it. Buses are cheaper than taking the tube, so definitely do that. And then another thing is if you are planning on like cabbing around a lot, black cabs are really, really expensive. So maybe you should think otherwise. It's really great to use the bus. So those would probably be like my top. Oh, and window shopping. If you like shopping, like, learn window shop, because you'll still get satisfied by looking at cute clothes and not necessarily buying it.
Brittany, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely talk to, saving money before you go by like applying for scholarships, applying for ours, applying for other. There are a lot of scholarships available for students who want to study abroad, not just in London, but studying abroad in general. And those can go towards your program cost. I would also think in pounds. Don't think in dollars. I mean, I would convert the total amount that you have, that's total pounds, and then go from there. Because if you keep trying to go back and forth between pounds and dollars, you might drive yourself crazy.
Brittany stole my big tip. Is convert your money at the beginning, thinking about the exchange rate. It's a lot better now than it used to be. But if you keep thinking about the exchange rate, you won't buy anything. You'll sit in your room in a corner and go, yeah, going out would be nice. But make sure you still get out there and have fun, keeping the budget in mind. But there's always lots to do, and those student discounts are good. I would always recommend bus over tube as well. I used to be a big tube guy myself. I loved being down there. I thought it was a cool place to people watch and a fun way to get around. But after spending a lot of money on the tube, realizing I could get places faster and cheaper on a bus most of the time, I became a bus person. So I guess. Oh, no.
I also remember. Oh,
No.
I was gonna say I also remember a lot of free events in parks. They have so many parks there, so doing free events there, watching shows, it's a great way to also learn different things. And
I remember the thing that I used to
can't
do
go wrong with that.
in the summer is they used to have they have a big concert series called Hard Rock Calling in Hyde Park every summer, and I used to go sit outside the wall because sound travels over that wall. So I saw Paul McCartney that way. That was really cool. So definitely take advantage of what's going on. So I guess kind of, since we're kind of going through the whole study abroad experience, kind of what's the biggest question you get asked now that you're back? A lot of people love hearing about other people's experience abroad. What do you think is the biggest reaction that you get from people when you say, oh, I studied abroad in London? Is it put on your best accent, or is it something maybe a little bit different? Put on your best accent. And I'll direct that to the ladies who are below me.
Something I get asked a lot is if I saw the Queen. That's like always.
You did, didn't you, Leah? Everyone sees the Queen.
I mean, I saw her like go by like in her carriage, or it was actually a Range Rover. Let's be real. But that's like, honestly, I get asked that all the time, and I don't even know why. It's like I didn't hang with Prince Harry. But other than that, I think the biggest question is, did you travel while you were there? That's a question I get all the time. And London is such a hub that it's so easy to travel other places. Yeah.
So did you travel a lot?
Wow.
I went to like 17 countries.
Do it.
Yeah. I took advantage of being over there. Yeah, my sister visited for 2 weeks while I was there, and I traveled with her a bunch. So, but yeah, definitely take advantage of London being such a hub. Like, there's like 4 airports, train stations. It's such an advantage to be able to go out everywhere across Europe.
Danielle?
So out of the questions people ask me, I'm trying to think. I feel like above all, everyone always asks me about the weather, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like, how did you survive in rainy London?" And I'm like, okay, so yes, it rains in London. It also rains basically everywhere else in the world. I don't know if anyone knows that. But touche Arizona, though, does not rain there. But yes, it rains. It gets really sunny. Anyone who's there for either the spring, summer, and or fall, they can kind of vouch for the fact that London has beautiful weather. Kind of on a tangent on that, for anyone who's really considering studying in London, I would really recommend looking up London Instagram, because being able to see that in your feed every single day will get you super pumped to go. And I literally still have them on my feed, and when I'm not there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until I'm back home. But it gets beautiful. The weather's great. They also asked a lot about the food and whether or not the food's good. Great thing about London, the reason why the whole stereotype that English food is bad was kind of, I don't know if it's like the 1800s when they really didn't know how to season their foods anymore, or hadn't learned how to yet, which I think happens with every culture. Like, people sometimes just don't know how to cook. But the thing about London is they have so many different cultures have come in, and they have quite literally every single type of food you could ever imagine, even Mexican food for anyone who's a big Mexican food fan. And yes, it has gotten better over the last 3 years. So, yeah.
You gotta search for the Mexican food. It's not easy to come by.
There's this place called Lupita's for anybody who wants it. It's next to Embankment Station. It's so good. So they have every type of food. So I would say those like the 2 biggest things that people would always ask me that I'm like, lol. Like, yes, it rains, and yes, you need nice boots and you need an umbrella, but your umbrella is going to blow inside out when it's windy. So
kind of going off that, clothing-wise, we get a lot of questions from our students. What do I wear? What do I bring? What would you say? So would you say layers? Would you say dark colors? What are we going for?
Well, one thing I would say is everyone in London is looks good all the time. So if you're into that fashion world, it's perfect for you. But I just brought I had a medium light jacket. I did bring my winter coat. I got there in January, left in June. It never got too cold when I got there. It was in high 40s. I never really had to layer. It's just that mild weather. What I would prepare for. Definitely get a pair of raincoats if you can. Those will come in handy.
When did you study there?
Last spring, so 2015.
I would definitely say layers are great. Just being able to layer your clothes. So if it gets warm out, you can take off your jacket and then you're only wearing a shirt. I would say if you want to blend in, dark colors are pretty prominent there, but at the same time, London really does kind of foster that whole idea of being yourself and wearing what makes you feel good. So you'll find people wearing the most bizarre stuff ever. So I think it's a really great place to figure out what type of fashion you want to be into and what you're interested in. I am one of those gals that likes fashion, so I thrived, but it really is. I would say definitely bring a good coat, bring good boots, good shoes, good walking shoes since you're going to be walking a lot, and pants are always great. Good dark wash jeans that you can wear walking around town, or even going out to maybe a nice show or something as well.
And Sarah, kind of with the clothing question, I knew you had talked about internships a little bit earlier. Obviously, what you're wearing every day to class is a little bit different than you would wear to your internship. Do you have any recommendations on that?
Well, I would just say that you want to present yourself professionally. So if it's something that you might wear to class every day, you probably don't want to wear it to an internship. If you want to think about your internship as maybe your first foray into a professional work experience. And so You might look at if you have an older sibling who's already graduated and working professionally, or even your parents. You might want to say, like, well, what kind of things are they wearing? And if you are second guessing whether you should wear this to professional work setting, then you probably shouldn't wear it, and you should go back and take it off. So consider the lengths of your dresses, your skirts, the types of shirts that you're wearing. Are your pants too tight? Do people not wear open-toed shoes? So just things that you might not think about, but it really does matter the kind of impression that you're making on people. And with London having more of a maritime climate and thinking about the weather, you probably are thinking people don't wear flip-flops to work every day, or they don't wear open-toed sandals. So, as Danielle said, you probably want to wear some nice shoes that are appropriate. And I think, there's lots of stuff out there that you can kind of look at and get some ideas from, but I would definitely say that you need to up the ante when you're dressing for an internship.
But I do have a couple more questions. The first one is for Sarah and Brittany. Do you guys have any last CEA features that you want to talk about before we sign off here?
Sarah, what's a study center?
Great question, Brittany.
Oh, you know what? You deferred it to me, so I thought I would defer it to Sarah, and we work together on this,
So a study center, so CEA has 8 other study centers around the world. And so a study center is what it sounds like. It's a dedicated center that is predominantly for North American students, for U.S. students. Any student is really welcome to apply and to participate in these programs, but it does tend to make up students from around the U.S. coming from a multitude of universities. One of the, I think, big distinguishing features is that your faculty in your classes will be taught more from an American-style pedagogy. So, I think Leah was talking about, your faculty aren't going to remind you about your homework. You might get 2 assignments, and that's your grade. And so, while our faculty at our study center, they are experts in their field, they are locals, so they're well qualified to teach, but they might not still follow up with you and remind you to do your email, or to do your homework, but chances are that they're probably going to be a little bit more accessible to you. You will have multiple forms of assessment in your class, so your entire grade won't be dependent upon just these 2 massive assignments. So you have a little bit of leeway there. There still is a lot of responsibility on you to be a serious student and to take your coursework seriously, but I think you'll just find a big difference in how teachers teach classes at a study center do receive a transcript from CEA's School of Record, which is the University of New Haven in Connecticut. So sometimes having a transcript from a U.S. university can facilitate the ease of credit transfer a little bit more easily. I know that there are some universities in the U.S. that have a difficult time managing foreign transcripts, but if they get a transcript from U.S. university, it's a lot easier to transfer those credits back, as well as to see more direct course equivalencies, if you will, because the courses that we're providing to you, while they have a lot of London themes in them, a lot of them can be found within your degree plan, maybe your general education requirements. So that's one of the big differences between a study center and maybe a British university. But at the same time, if you are taking classes at the CEA Center, you can take a class at London South Bank. And so that does give you the opportunity to be in class with other local British students, or international students from all over the world. I think they have students from more than 130 countries at South Bank. So it will give you the opportunity to have that class, to have that experience on a campus, but also maybe have this other experience where that what you're taking at a center will likely transfer back, and you've already worked that out with your advisor ahead of time. So that's some of the big differences.
I would have to add about going with CEA onto our new London Study Center is that we're here to help you from the very beginning with the admissions counselors and helping finding the correct program. So once you actually apply and accept it to London, you'll be working with me personally. So that's really a plus there. And I will help you all the way until you actually step foot on the plane. And then once you get to London, you're going to have your program director, Cassandra. She's amazing. Both Danielle and Leah can vouch for Cassandra. She's an amazing lady, big heart. She loves getting involved with her students, and she will be your resource there until you leave. And then once you leave, you come back to us here at the headquarters, and you have an alumni team where you can become an alumni ambassador like Leah and Danielle and represent at your university. And so it's really the total package here at CEA. So we're here to help you. We're here to make this an opportunity for you, whether it's fall, summer, or spring. And we want to help you get abroad because it's an awesome experience. Everyone that's in our enrollment department has studied abroad, so we all know the experience that you're going through or that you're about to go through.
Cool. All right. Well, we are out of time, but I did want to do one last quick question. We're going to go around the circle. But if you were dropped off in downtown London right now, where is the first place you would go? I'll start with Lee.
Oh, girl, good choice though. Yes.
Danielle.
This can't take like I dream about it.
Where is it located?
There's one in Soho and there's one in Shoreditch. And I can't remember.
There's one in
like
London
3
Bridge now
locations.
and
Which
Canary
one?
Wharf. On a side note of that, I completed the pancake challenge this year where you ate 12 pancakes in 12 minutes. Yeah. It was so hard. I died. Thank you. I'm so proud of myself. I have a picture go on my Instagram. But if I got dropped off anywhere, if I was literally central, I would probably go, I'm kind of torn up, Joe and the Juice, which is like a juicing / coffee place. There's one on Regent Dean Street, as well as right off corner of Carnaby. I like the one in Carnaby. All those also, by the way, are literally in like a 10-minute walking radius from each other. So, and I just love it. The staff is lovely always. That's the one place where I would get my flat whites like every day, even though I'm saying that you shouldn't do it because like their flat whites are just that good. Great seating area, free Wi-Fi, always have good music. So I would definitely say there. Or Bone Daddy's, which is a really good ramen place that is also located in Soho.
Cool. Brittany, where would you go?
If I was dropped off, it would be to any Indian restaurant in London.
Yes.
It's really hard to find good Indian food here in Arizona. So when I went and actually visited our program this past end of January, February, I ran into Danielle. We hung out. It was fun. But we also went to an Indian restaurant off of Brick Lane. That's what I would do.
I wish I could tell you that I would go back to the National Theater and watch a play or something, and y'all can make fun of me, but I would go to Nando's.
Oh my gosh, yes, Nando's!
Yeah, I would go to a Nando's.
No, they have Nando's in Chicago
they have them
now,
on the East
so
Coast
I can
too,
go.
and it makes me mad that I'm out here in Arizona. So I have to make my own. But if I could get dropped off and have some real peri peri, I would be a happy man.
Can I slightly change my answer also, just so everyone knows this?
Go for it.
I would sprint to the Thames, literally sprint there and take a walk along the Thames and go to Borough Market because Borough Market though. So hands down, that's what I would do.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we are out of time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This recording will be sent out shortly, I've been told. So be on the lookout for that. If you do have any questions about the London programs, please reach out to our admissions team, which is myself and my coworkers. We'd love to help you. At CEAstudyabroad.com. You can get all set up there and find all of our contact information. But want to thank everybody for participating. Brittany, Sarah, Danielle, and Leah, you all were fantastic. And thank you all for tuning in. And we're going to go ahead and close the blab now. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Talk to you soon.